Hey guys, welcome to the top percentile. My name is Anay Dave and I scored a rank of 9 in CET 2020. Today we'll be discussing what your exam strategy should be in order based on what the paper is going to be like. So usually when it comes to this, I won't be commenting on the exact strategy that you should be following. I will not tell you whether you should start with verbal, whether you should start with or end with verbal, or what you should be doing throughout. वो आपके ऊपर है, वो आपको decide करना होता है. Usually, my advice when it comes to making a decision of the order of sections would be based on what you feel most comfortable in doing. If you think you've got the highest marks in a particular order, or you feel most comfortable just attempting in a particular way, if you think that that is the fastest way to go about it, then please keep that. All you need is confidence now. There is around, I think today is the 13th, so there are around 3 to 4 days left for the people who are taking on the 16th. There are literally 3 days left, 2 days in fact. So this is not the time for you to think about which strategy to change the order of sections. I will only be commenting on what you should be doing once you see the paper. Once you've formed that initial analysis of what you should be doing, you have that idea, like how I'd written my paper. So if you've not seen this, by the way, it's there on our Telegram group. There's an image of a letter or a note that I'd written to myself before the CET exam. ये आपको हमारे टेलीग्राम ग्रुप पे मिल जाएगा. So link in the description, or you can click on the link on our Instagram page. You'll find all the links to the Telegram group, and the links are working. We do check and update them regularly. In case the one in the description does not work, please click on the Instagram one. But our Instagram is _top_percentile. Now, when it comes to how you should be approaching such a thing. Now, I forgot I mentioned this. So in that the letter that I've written, उसमें I basically mentioned what my strategy is going to be. मैं कौन सा पहले लूँगा? What am I going to start with? How much time am I going to give to it? What is going to happen? So I've written very clearly: visual, verbal, visual first 15 minutes, verbal in the next 30-35 minutes. I've explained everything. Attempt around 180 to 190 questions. That was my aim, but I attempted around 160 to 170 questions in the end. But the idea is that you write yourself just a small little note so that you are motivated and you can go ahead and take the paper the way you want to. But now you are sitting in the exam hall, right? This what I'm saying now is useful at that point. You're sitting in the exam hall, the paper is in front of you. You don't know whether the paper is going to be easy or the paper is going to be difficult. Now I'll be discussing each of these two. What happens if there's a tough paper? What happens if there's an easy paper? Now, what I'll be using to explain this and what your psychology for this should be would be what others will be doing versus what you have to do, right? Now, since you've practiced a lot of mocks, since you're watching these videos a couple of days before the exam, I do understand that you guys are in a good state compared to almost 50 to 60% of the public. So usually around 1 lakh people, 1 lakh attempt the exam. Out of that, there would be around 10,000 people, 10,000 students who are really serious about it. The others just write the exam for the heck of it. But the ones who are serious would be around 10,000. That's also an exaggeration. So if you're watching this, if you've taken around 20 plus mocks, it's not even the number of mocks you've taken. If you're serious about it, if you've done the portion, you can do well on the last day. So what I'm trying to say is that the strategy that you take through the last day is what is going to make the difference now, because you cannot change anything. If you've seen the video on the mock, how to increase mock scores, it's very clear how you have to increase mock scores. It is not knowledge, it is your accuracy, and it is the educated guesses that you make. If you've not seen it, it's the third last video on the channel from the day this is released, second last, sorry, the third last from the day this is released. So please go watch that. It's going to help you a lot. And in case you've not seen my sister's interview, you should go watch that as well, because she talks about how even if your paper is going wrong on day, how you should make sure that it comes back onto the right path. Anyway, back to the topic. What should you do if there's an easy paper, and what should you do if there's a difficult paper? I'll take the easy one first. So when there's an easy paper, how do you know if it's easy firstly? What makes a paper easy or difficult? So usually these are things like how fast can you solve the easy questions, and what number of easy questions are there? You look at the division of easy questions, tough questions, or medium questions and tough questions. That distribution is what usually decides whether a paper is easy or tough. Now, for example, if the paper is full of, let's say, out of the 75 questions in logical, there are around 50 questions that are direct, traditional logic and critical reasoning. Then I know the paper is a lot easier than what it would be had there been 30 questions or 40 questions, right? So that's one way of looking at it. But you never really come to know until you're done with the entire section, until you're done with the entire paper, because you have to go through all 200 questions to understand what is going on. But usually after solving a little bit, after being an hour into the paper, वो थोड़ा feel आ जाता है if you've gone through at least 2 or 3 sections. So I used to go through around taking my exam first 15 to 20 minutes for visual, the next 30 minutes for verbal, and the next 10 minutes would be the easy logical that I'm doing. But when I started the logical section, I would go from 1 to 75 marking on the puzzles. Just the first question of every puzzle, I would mark it so that I know that, okay, this set is a puzzle, this is a set, this is a set, this is a puzzle. I would just, know what is going on. So at the end of that, if you see first 20 minutes, then 30 minutes, or 50 minutes, now the last 10 minutes. So then the first 1 hour, I have gone through 3 sections overall. I have solved 2 of them. Logical, I'm just about to start, or I've started a couple of questions. Quantum not touched. This was my strategy, okay? Do not copy the strategy unless you've tried it out and unless you're confident in it. But this was my thing. And by around the 60-minute mark, or if you're looking at the timer as it will be in the exam, around the 1 hour 30 minutes countdown timer from 2 hours 30 minutes. So 1 hour into the paper, you should kind of know whether the paper is easy or difficult. Now, how should your strategy change? If your paper is easy, and if you know that the paper is really easy because it's full of easy questions that anyone will be able to solve, think about what difference are you going to make. Think about where are the differential marks that you're going to get. So everyone assume that all serious aspirants get 100 marks. The good ones get 120. The really good ones get 130. The ones who make it to JB get 140 and 150. That differential that is there, that difference that you're finding in these marks, where is that coming from? That comes from solving questions faster than the others. So you solve a larger number of questions, or solving questions that are tougher than the others, or not making mistakes. Now, not making mistakes is something you have to do, so keep that aside. But the other two that are there. So if you're 1 hour into the paper, or even if you're 30 minutes into the paper and you feel that, yeah, this is really easy, I should do it. It's a really easy paper. Just change your strategy to solving as fast as you can. Solve it as fast as you can, because if you know that there are a lot more questions, you'll be able to solve around 160 to 170, maybe 180 questions if the exam is really easy. You'll be able to reach those higher marks, and overall you'll get a much higher score, because firstly, these are easy questions, so they take lesser time and they have high accuracy. You combine these two, you get a really high score. So when you look at others, what I'm trying to do over here is that if you see a question or direction sense, you know that you can solve it, but you also know that everyone else in the exam who's a serious aspirant can solve it. It's the same situation with a lot of traditional logic. So when it comes to this, all you can do to beat them is be faster. All you can do is just solve it faster so that you can do a lot more questions. So when it's a really easy paper, when you know it's an easy paper, your differential is solving faster, but solving it right. Accuracy doesn't have to go down, but solve it fast. Once you solve it fast, you'll get the confidence that, yes, this is how to go about in the paper. Now, did I make this distinction in my exam and the mocks? Yes. If I was feeling that, oh, wow, look, I've done around 90 questions in an hour, that means the paper is easy. This is an example situation, but if I've done 90 questions in an hour, then that leaves me with around 110 questions in the next 120, in an hour, so around 90 minutes. So 110 questions, 90 minutes, which is a lot better than the 250 in 150 that I started off with. So the idea is that you need to push that enthusiasm and the energy that you've got into the next round of the paper. That's the idea. If you know it's an easy paper, go faster. That's it. That's what you do for an easy paper. And easy paper can also be, if I have to go through every section and talk about what an easy paper is, as I explained in logical, it is the traditional part. Those are much easier and people are able to solve that usually. When it comes to quants, you will see more arithmetic based questions where you don't need to think too much, where options tell you the answers, where just a few basic calculations and you're able to do it. Nothing too much like permutation, combinations, probability. Even the DI sets are pretty easy. That's what an easy quant section looks like. An easy verbal section would probably be full of grammar questions that are full of fill in the blanks and just close tests and things that people know a lot. Like just something that even if you have a basic grammar level or understanding, you should be able to solve. That becomes an easy verbal paper. And an easy abstract paper would be a lot of series-based questions, analogy questions that are easy to solve. If you just eliminate options, you get all the answers, or at least one of two options. Now that's how you decide whether a paper is easy or not. But this is not something that you have to sit and think. You don't have to sit in the paper and think, yeah, this paper is easy, this paper is tough. You don't do that. You never label a mock as easy or difficult. It's just that your strategy kind of changes. If your paper has gone really good so far and you know the paper questions are easy, go faster. That's the idea. Like go for it faster because it's probably going fast for everyone. It's probably going fast for the other toppers as well. It's probably going fast for everyone taking the paper. So you go faster, make sure that you're solving the same questions in a shorter amount of time. using the techniques that we've explained in earlier videos in our course, everything that we've done, you can use that a lot. And this is the time where it comes most handy. Now, if it's a tough paper, where is your differential? If it's a very tough paper, for example, let's say, how do I know if it's a tough paper? Puzzles are difficult. Puzzles are much harder. There are lesser traditional questions. Critical reasoning is much closer. This is a logical reasoning part. In quant, you'll have a lot longer questions. You need a lot more steps to solve it. When it comes to abstract, you will get the question that IMS puts the interchange to get it right, or the odd man out. I think these are really difficult questions to solve, even for people who like abstract. And in verbal, you'll probably have really in-depth questions about vocab, maybe, or just anything. NRC that takes a lot of time to read, and they actually expect you to understand it. With CET usually doesn't, but if they do that, that becomes a tough quant paper, a tough verbal paper. That's my point, right? So you kind of get the gist of it. Now, coming back to the first explanation that I had around, in 1 hour, if you kind of come to know, this is how you come to know, you should be able to, you wouldn't be able to solve too many questions because there are not too many questions to solve. See, everyone's strategy, or at least everyone in TTP's strategy, was to go for the low-hanging fruit. If a question is easy, you solve it. Now, if you cannot solve too many questions in a particular amount of time, that means the paper is tough. If there aren't easy, it's like, think about it like a cricket match or actually a baseball match, where you just keep getting swings, but you don't get out. There are no stumps, right? So the pitcher just keeps throwing it at you, and you choose whether it's good or not. And now, if there aren't too many easy balls that are coming to you, you won't hit them out, right? You will just wait for the easy ones. So that's what. So overall, if you're able to solve a lot of easy questions, the paper is easier. If you're able to solve one, if you cannot solve, like if there are not easy questions given in the paper, it's going to be a tough paper, right? Again, coming back to the easy, medium, tough distribution that is in the paper. Now, when it comes to a tough paper, what should your mentality be? Now, you are sitting in the exam hall, as I explained. You are sitting in the exam hall, and the paper is a really difficult paper. There are only, let's say, 50 questions that you've done in the first hour, right? But you're giving it your best. You're still in the best state. It's not because you did it slow or something. It's because the paper does not have any questions that you can solve. Now, just remember that again, if you put in the efforts, and if you're in a state where you have put in efforts and are in the right zone at the right time, regroup yourself and think, what am I doing different? What should I do different than the others? If there are tough questions, everyone's accuracy is going to be lower. Everyone's going to not be able to solve the question that you are also not able to solve, right? So you double down on the selection that you're doing. You double down on the selection criteria that you're using to select questions and to go ahead with solving one. You decide, okay, if I'm able to, you kind of have to take those calculated risks that, okay, this puzzle is difficult, but I know that I can solve it in 7 minutes, but someone else might be able to do it in 10. So I get 3 minutes extra. Like others on average will do it in 3 minutes extra. So I have to go and do that. But when it becomes a tough paper, remember that accuracy is your friend over here. So when it's a tough paper, let's say you're attempting 130, 140 to 150 questions. It's perfectly okay if that's how your paper goes. Please don't worry about it. Normalization will put everything back up to the normal scores. So if you give it your best and you can attempt only 140 questions, please don't worry about it. If everyone, even if on the day people are saying they've attempted 160, 170, it's the accuracy that's going to matter on the last day. When I say attempt, I'm talking about genuine attempts. On the day of the exam, you have to attempt all 200 questions. You have to mark all 200 questions and come. But when I'm talking about attempts, I'm talking about the genuine attempts that I had. So when it is a tough paper, you need to think about accuracy and just score maximum that you can in the few sets that you take, in the few sets of the few questions that you're attempting properly. Divide your time. Just get that thing into your head that if I am not able to do it, the others are also not able to do it. If I am able to do something easily, others are doing it easily. How do I go ahead? These are the two thoughts that you should have based on whether the exam is tough or easy, respectively. I hope that helps your mentality and the mindset during the paper. I think a lot is needed for the mindset development, and we are here to help you out in that. So we'll be making a couple more videos about what you should do before the exam, what to do if your scores are falling in the current last few days. So in fact, we'll release these as soon as possible. But your idea has to be just about how you should think, whether when a question is going tough or when a paper is going tough or easy. And the idea is that you don't have to mess up as much as the others do, right? So if it's easy, go faster. If it's tougher, go for accuracy. So to sum it up in short, that is what you have to do. This is what your strategy should be for the exam. It doesn't matter how you take it. It doesn't matter how you go about the entire paper. Just remember, if it's easy, you need to solve many more questions than the others with higher accuracy, but like not flukes, obviously. But if it's a tough paper, go for accuracy. It's okay if you attempt lesser. Do not compare your scores to the others. Do not worry about all of that. Everything gets normalized across slots. The ones who deserve it make it to JB in the end. So if you're confident about it, keep that in your head and go for it. All the best, guys. We'll be making a lot more content, so stay tuned to our channel. That's it for now. Thank you very much, and all the best, guys.